And our boys have shaken hands, and we are ready to go. And fight, says the referee, so let's see what happens. We have Ryushi coming as a southpaw, and Frank as an orthodox. Nice low kick from Frank, and we'll see what else he can handle. Ryushi looks a little bit fidgety. Nice slung up high kick there from Frank, and we're into a over-under clinch. Good knee to the body. Nice knee to the body from Ryushi. Good slap on the exit by Frank there. So Ryushi Yanagisawa, he's had a bit of a hard run as well, because he's had Guy Mezger, Bus Rutan, and he's just been put down by a double leg from Frank. So we'll see how Frank works from inside the guard, and Frank can actually pass fairly decently these days. But yeah, Ryushi Yanagisawa's had a bit of a hard run because he's had Guy Mezger, non-title fight against Bus Rutan, and then he fought Funaki last time. And he did okay, but he did end up getting his shoulder nearly torn out. And Frank has kicked up both his legs to open up Yanagisawa's guard, and we saw that last time against Suzuki, and that is a very interesting little technique, and you don't really see it that often these days, except for this one time at Eddie Bravo 10, and everyone was like, oh, this is great. And so now he's gotten to mount, and look at that, someone can actually pass guard without relying on someone throwing up a no-hope submission. So we'll see the usual Lion's Den talent of grinding your forearm in the face until something else produces itself. And as expected of any of the Japanese guys, Yanagisawa has got something taped up, so his left knee is yeah, got some sort of, I think that's holding his patella in place from the look of the way the tape is, so that's interesting. And Frank's going for an armbar from Mount, because who cares about giving up position in Pancrase, because no one's going to hit you. And he's recovered guard, which is nice, but he missed that armbar. So it was a good attempt, he managed to get the leg across the face, but Yanagisawa managed to pull his elbow back. Which is, of course, the danger of when you go for an armbar from Mount, you give up the position when you miss a submission, whereas with other submissions from Mount and others from side control, you can sort of maintain position rather than sort of resigning yourself to the bottom if you miss it. So we'll see how Frank's guard is. He's kicking up, trying for a triangle. But he's getting stacked pretty well by Yanagisawa there. If there's any sort of background noise, my cat's decided to complain at me, so it's sitting on my lap now. Frank's throwing up some up slaps, and we'll see what's going on. There's not really much going on here. I think maybe Yanagisawa was trying for a can opener, but I can't really see because his body's in the way. And Frank's kicking around for the armbar. He's missed that, so yeah, nothing really going on here as Frank's shifting his hips and attacking, but he's not really getting anywhere. Yep, and they've been stood up. I figured that'd happen eventually. And this whole little run here for the next little while is interesting because Frank and Bus are now both kings of Pancrase, but rather than having a unification match, they're having them fight, well, not nobodies, just other people to bring themselves up in the rankings. Nice, interesting little trade there. Frank threw up a high kick, and then Yanagisawa was thrown by the back, and then Frank's dumped him to the ground off it. A little front kick and a round kick from Yanagisawa, both of them nice, and a good double leg from Frank. Forearm in the face as you do, just sort of grinding and annoying Yanagisawa, and that guard is open, so if he smashes down that leg, he could probably definitely pass. And there you go, right over to half guard, and being in the half guard and being a member of the Lion's Den, we can expect either a completed pass or a spin to a knee bar, and he's hooked himself back into half guard, so I'm thinking knee bar's coming if he misses this Americana attempt. Nope, he's just gone to mount. Well, shows what I know. Usual process of grinding the forearm in the face to hopefully open up Yanagisawa. And Yanagisawa isn't really giving him anything because he's been working on his defense. Into north-south, as the most dangerous man alive today calls it, the freaky mount. Neon belly. And that legs out nice and wide, so that's putting his full weight onto that knee in the middle of Yanagisawa's belly. It'll be driving some air out of him. And my cat is about to sneeze. Oh, no, he's managed to avoid it. Yeah, he's just breakdancing on top. He's looking like Minoru Suzuki, which is something that, I sort of noticed as Frank's grappling game developed. He looked like a more polished Minoru Suzuki with that same sort of flowing top control and floating control that you're seeing here. and the annoyance, but combined with better wrestling and a better sort of positional understanding and a better scrambling ability from the bottom. And he's gone to the Americana grip around Yanagisawa's head, which is a strong position, but you aren't able to finish the actual arm lock. You've got to move to something else. And he's gone to a wrist lock on the canvas, which we've been seeing quite a lot of recently, and it's an interesting little technique that I hadn't sort of considered before. And he might switch to an arm triangle if he can't finish the wrist lock hold. And the referee's head is in the way, so we can't actually tell where he's going. Oh, he's missed it. Yanagisawa's managed to get his arm back, and Frank's gone back to knee on belly and forearm in face, both of which would be very annoying. I do not know what Yanagisawa was doing with his legs there. Maybe he's worrying about the eventual spin to the knee bar that we know will eventually happening. Oh, back to north-south, back to side control, back to knee control. Oh, and Yanagisawa's given up his back, and Frank has got a good back control. But he's up a bit high here. Oh, no, he's managed to get both hooks in and flatten Yanagisawa out, so that is a good back control. And we'll see if he can lock in a choke. And he's gotten that. And I think Yanagisawa will put a foot on the ropes the moment Frank manages to skewer his grip. Yep, there we are. Rope escape. So one lost point for Yanagisawa. So getting ready for the restart. And here we go. High kick from Yanagisawa. Faked right hook afterwards. Nice high kick, and Frank threw a nice hard slap back, and as Yanagisawa's stepped into counter, Frank's ducked onto that double leg. Like early Fedor Emelianenko before he just decided that his right hand was all he needed. Ooh, nice. Back to that crushing knee ride, which would be driving the air out of Yanagisawa. Interesting little artifacting on the video. And back to mount with the legs wrapped up to prevent the bridge. Crossface on the mount. Back to knee control. Oh, shin on neck ride. Yep, we're seeing a lot of Minoru Suzuki habits from Frank today. That's very interesting. He's behind the neck. I don't know what he's going to. Is he? Oh, he's gone for a cross grip, and now he's reaching down and fooling with Yanagisawa's legs. This is very interesting. So he's controlling that far wrist. Oh, doesn't matter. Don't see where he gets to go because the ref decides to stand them up. Still, it's interesting grappling control. Oh, and Yanagisawa is being told to be active and try and defend rather than just sort of sitting there, which I think is a bit unfair because he's getting thoroughly controlled by Frank. If there's one thing that's exhausting, it's floating control, because you put your strength into a bridge and there's just nothing to bridge into, and you just end up pushing all this strength out into nothing, getting nowhere, and then the guy's just shifted around and controlled somewhere else. Nice knee to the body there. That one really hurt Frank, and he's gone to the knee, and he's kicked back in the body, and Frank's decided enough of that, I'm going to shoot a double. And so he's gotten that nicely, but he is in Yanagisawa's guard, and we'll see what Yanagisawa can do off his back. He's kicking up a triangle, but he's thought better of it rather than over-committing to it. He's a very long dude, Yanagisawa, so who knows, these days he might be rubber guard. Sort of a devotee of that. And he's gone for a hip bump sweep, and that was quite nice, and he's done that very well. So he's taken top control. So Yanagisawa's last few fights, after losing the Neo Blood tournament and getting choked out quickly by Jason DeLucia, he's been losing or drawing efforts, but he's always had these moments of success. And Frank Shamrock has shown that gorilla strong Lion's Den bridge and just rolled Yanagisawa over and taken top control again. So he's passed out to side control with a leg weave, and he's dived over for the leg attack. So we'll see where he goes. He's working a steering wheel toe hold, but he's not got the knee controlled, so he's not going to be able to do very much. Oh, but he's managed to kick his legs in. So they're in a more standard 50-50 entanglement. Ashagarami, if you want to use your John Danaher terminology. And they're under the ropes, and so they'll be stood up. And my cat is being affectionate and demanding attention, so I'll try and ignore him. And we're ready to go again. Nice low kick from Frank, is chased in with a double leg, and he's gotten it. Little shoulder butt to Yanagisawa's gut, and Yanagisawa was going for the hip bump sweep again, but Frank's got his hips over to that side, so he's sort of shutting down the power on it, and he'll probably be able to pass if he steps on Yanagisawa's leg. But he's decided not to do that. He's decided to take the classic lion's den response to the guard and sit back on a leg lock. So heel hooks are still banned and will be banned for the rest of the sort of Pancrase rules duration of the Pancrase, and he's going for a toe hold here because in Eyes of the Beast, in the Eyes of the Beast series, I don't know how many people got their knees ruined, but it was quite a few. Yeah, there was a lot of ligament tweaking going on, and so they decided that heel hooks were no longer going to be allowed, and Frank has used the leg entanglement as a pass, which is always a nice thing to do, and something you should consider when you're going for leg locks. They're not just an attack; they are a positional tool as well. And he's working his cross faces and back to that lovely floating annoying control, which would just be an absolute bastard to be under. He's working cross face and knee ride, and his knee is sort of slipping onto Yanagisawa's dick, which would probably be more uncomfortable. He's gone back to mount. He's still cross facing and just being ruthless. He's stepping around, sort of an interesting crossbody here, and the ref has stood them up because Frank has not given up position 6 times. And on the restart, let's see how we go. Yanagisawa's thrown up a high kick, and Frank's ducked under it and attacked his back, which is nice. But he's caught up in half guard, so we'll see where we go from here. And he's turning Yanagisawa away from the ropes to prevent the rope escape, which is always cool. He's walking him to the center of the ring. So he's in half guard, and with that leg up high, Yanagisawa is vulnerable to either a pass or to a leg lock. And Frank has decided that the pass is the way to go. And he's back on the forearm grinding, face annoying path. Back to knee on belly. And he's mucking around with Yanagisawa's toes. So it would just be annoying rather than a secure lock. And he's gone to head scissors, or sort of head north-south head control, trying for that Kimura. Yep, and back to knee on belly, back to the forearm in the face. Yeah, that'd be an awful place to be. And Yanagisawa was sort of shaking his leg around going, can you attack this for me? Being your way to be off me for a little bit. Frank's gone back to mount. He's locking up one of the arms for an Americana, and the ref has stood them up because they were too close to the ropes. And Yanagisawa looks very tired. He's checking out Frank, seeing if there's anything interesting going on with him, and being told to go again. So Frank's bouncing around to the outside. Nice exchange of kicks there. Good. Oh, nice sprawl from Yanagisawa, and Frank's gone to hip throw him over the top, but has just pulled him directly into mount, so that's always fun. And Yanagisawa has been talking to Funaki because he's gone to Z mount. So we'll see what Frank can do. Most likely Frank's going to punch that underhook all the way through and then shrug. But Yanagisawa has shifted off to side control. That's nicely done, Yanagisawa. And into scarf hold. It'll be trying for that scarf hold armbar. But TK scissors from Frank Shamrock, where he's kicked the legs up over the head. And he's managed to return to standing. Nice exchange of strikes there. Good knee from Frank and a nice high kick from Yanagisawa. And he bundled Frank to the floor when he shot in. Nicely done. See, as I was saying before, Yanagisawa's had this very tough run of competitors, but he's always been always had these moments of sort of close success where he's done something really good in the fight. So I think that's why they've kept matching him against top guys, even though he's on a bit of a losing streak right now. Nice lead hand strike and a massive double leg from Frank. That just dived all the way through. It was a Goldberg spear. And Yanagisawa's got a single overhook, and will probably be thinking Kimura attack or hip bump sweep again. And he's left his legs open, but Frank's decided to sit back on a toe hold because why bother passing guard if leg lock's right there? And he's pushing down the toes. He might be able to punch his hand through. He's doing And Yanagisawa was trying one of his own, and he's been a bit sneaky because that was a heel hook. Because Frank's foot was trapped against the inside of his thigh, and Yanagisawa was pulling up on the heel. Still, didn't complete it, and Frank separated his grips. So Frank's still trying for this toe hold. And there we go, he's got that, and that looked very tight. And Yanagisawa has grabbed the ropes for an escape, so that is 2 lost points. Frank is doing very well in this fight. So we're returning to standing. And they're fixing up Yanagisawa's knee pads. And here we go again. And my cat wants to go outside, hold on. And we're back! And nice lead slap from Yanagisawa, followed by a nice knee, but he's given Frank the takedown attack. And Frank has decided that he wasn't going to finish that single leg, so he's pulled himself under to attack for a leg lock, which is a dangerous proposition. But it's still used today, especially by Rusuma Polaris. He's wound up in half guard. But he's let Yanagisawa pass, which is a bit silly. Yanagisawa's gone back to Z mount, so he's probably trying for a triangle, but he's stepped off. Nicely done. And he's going for that double wrist lock on the far side, but Frank has very flexible shoulders. You don't see Frank get too worried by those sort of attacks, and he's used his shin to peel off Yanagisawa's grip, which I always think is really cool. So nice secure crossface there from Yanagisawa, lets him get mount, and we'll see what he does with it. Oh, and Frank's trapped one of the feet, and he's probably going to try and scoot under, except nice dismount from Yanagisawa, except his foot is still caught up. And Frank's grabbed across it. That's very interesting. So I don't know what he intends to do with it. Oh, that's nice. He's bridged and he's taken the back. That is really cool. I'm not sure how viable that is these days without wrestling shoes to grab onto, but it was very interesting. We'll see Jason DeLucia in Frank's corner, and he's having a chat. He's going back to his usual attack of just annoying cross faces. He's trying to set up a grip on one of Yanagisawa's arms for our Americana or a Kimura. And back to floating control. So that knee ride must be absolutely exhausting to be under. And break. They've been stood up because they're close to the corner, and the ref doesn't want to see Yanagisawa's face get turned into mush by Frank's forearms. Ooh, nice front kick from Yanagisawa. Back of the distance. Nice inside low kick. Good lead hook from Yanagisawa, but he's committed to it pretty hard, and his hips were still for Frank to dive in on that takedown. And he's sitting up again, considering what he's going to do in guard, and he's going 2-on-1 on one of Frank's arms, but he's abandoned that. Gone to an overhook. I don't know what Frank's thinking about here. And Yanagisawa is thinking hip bump sweep again. And Frank is trying to arm triangle Yanagisawa from inside Yanagisawa's own guard. And that is not something you can finish. But yeah, it's an interesting attack. Usually you can get the legs to pop. But Yanagisawa has recovered. And Frank's gone back to grinding his forearm in his head. And Yanagisawa is thinking triangle choke from the way he's playing with that arm and trying to walk his shin up it. But he's not going to get that on Frank Shamrock. And he's trying for a Kimura sweep again, but Frank hit his hand under his thigh, so Yanagisawa couldn't finish the grip. And he's stacking Yanagisawa up there, and they've been stood up by the ref. There's a tired-looking man. Ready to go. Nice high kick from Yanagisawa, but Frank just eats it like a sandwich and finishes a single leg and walks himself straight over into mount. So Yanagisawa must be tired and must be sick of being on the bottom by the way he's striking, because you can tell guys when they get annoyed by that because they really commit to the strikes going, well, now I've got to hit him really hard, which is actually counterintuitive because the more you sort of commit your hips to the strike, the easier it is for them to shoot in and finish the takedown. And back to knee on belly control, which is exactly where Yanagisawa did not want to be. More forearm grinding in the face, more trying for arm locks on that far arm. He's controlling Yanagisawa's hips and gripping on that. And Yanagisawa has burned a rope escape on position, so that shows you how much he does not want to be underneath Frank. So yeah, oh, thinking about a high kick. Oh, he's managed to stuff the initial takedown attempt, and he's hitting him. He's working cross faces. Ah, nice Koichigari? Yeah, Koichigari. Long outside trip by or is it Kosotogari? Well, I don't know. Nice long outside trip by Frank Shamrock there. And he shut down the double wrist lock attempt from Yanagisawa. And that is it. That is the end of the match. And so Frank Shamrock wins due to 3 lost points. Right, I will see you all next time.